Welcome to SOS for Your Life, Emergency Wisdom for Everyday Life. I'm your host, Susie St. Angelo, and thank you for being here. Today's episode is called Reclaiming Your Energy, Navigating Burnout. And my guest is Katie Hurd, a certified professional coach who specializes in helping professionals turn burnout into breakthrough clarity. Using her Align, Activate, Achieve framework, she guides clients through energy mapping, confidence activation, and purpose-driven action that lasts. I know for any of you who are experiencing burnout, you need to tune in and get a few tips on how she can help you. This podcast is for you if you know you want to change something. Maybe it's your career, your health, or another aspect of your life, and you might be wondering if this is the right age or stage in your life to make a change. And you don't know where to start. Or maybe you're one of those people caught in analysis paralysis. I understand. I was that very same person. But you can listen in, you can watch, and just find a few small tips that are going to help you make those changes. I promise you. Just a reminder, you can find this podcast on Spotify, YouTube, iHeart, Amazon, and Apple Podcast. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Now let's get into today's episode and meet my guest, Katie Hurd. Hi, Katie. How are you?
Hi, Susie. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Welcome to SOS for Your Life, Emergency Wisdom for Everyday Life. I'm excited to talk to you today. I can resonate with your story, and I know people will be interested to hear your story. So why don't you tell our listeners and viewers a little bit about yourself and what inspired you to become a professional coach helping those work through burnout?
Yeah, absolutely. Just a little about my background. I have been working on my professional career, or corporate Katie, for the past 20 years. I've been climbing the ladder and working towards learning and development, career, human resources, really around talent development. Ultimately was where I landed, and I really liked working with other people, seeing them gain or achieve or grow their skills in the workplace so that they can achieve greatness. Myself, on the other hand, I'm an avid learner, so I always took advantage of learning opportunities. I was given a coach a few years ago, and it just changed my life. So back in April, I left my corporate job because I was exhausted. I was totally burnt out, and now I'm working for myself through a company called Pivotal Transformations.
That's awesome. I can't wait to learn more about this. So what led up to your decision to leave your career? Was there a specific moment, or was it a slow build?
There was a bit of each. So, I never thought I would get the courage or have the opportunity to be able to step away from a steady income and paycheck. And so little by little, it started to become a reality, but really what changed ultimately was a moment where I was sitting on my couch. I was surrounded by nice material things, and I was exhausted and not doing anything in my evenings. And so I thought there's got to be more to life than this. I just don't want to be sitting here being successful on paper, but missing something inside. So that moment really changed my trajectory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can certainly relate to that. And I can understand using a coach and how that can positively affect a person too. I did that prior to leaving my career too. And it was during a time when I was also going through menopause, and my father had died all during this time. So she really helped me with a multitude of things. So how did burnout show up for you? Physically, emotionally, mentally, maybe all three?
Yes, all three. I think I was a severe case, and I've had little bouts of just need to take a break or a little bit of burnout in the past. But ultimately, I was finding I was sitting all day at my desk in meetings back to back, stressed, not eating good things for me, just grabbing what was the closest and most convenient, not working out or taking steps, um, and ultimately just stressed, gaining weight, and um, physically just kind of a lump on a log, if you will. So, and just exhausted. That was the other thing is I didn't think I had energy or time to do things because of how tired I was. I was not sleeping great. The mind, I'm an overthinker. So every time that can come up for work, it did. And all of those just kind of brought me to the point of I can't sustain this.
Yeah, I understand that. For me, I would go to work, although I worked with clients, and so I would go to their offices and meet with them, or I'd meet at I was working for a bank, and we'd meet at the banking centers. But I looked for opportunities to get out of the office, whether it was to meet clients or to run errands for them. Or I didn't look forward to going to work in the morning and I couldn't wait to leave in the evening. Does any of that resonate?
Yeah, I had the Sunday scaries every week, where it's Sunday evening and just not looking forward to Monday. And then Friday, I was just so excited to be done for the week and really wasted time outside of the office. But we went through transition from being, or like I worked remote full time, I've worked hybrid, and then was going to be going back into the office full time. And even that addition of a commute 5 days a week was another just layer to my burnout and exhaustion. I just, I like flexibility, and I was looking for ways like, can I get to the gym if I'm working at my desk all day? Or like, how do I carve out that time for myself or talking to people?
Well, sure, sure. Um, did you feel supported when you made a decision to step away?
Oh, yes, 100%. I think that was one of the harder parts of making the decision is I worked with great people. I had a great team and really liked the atmosphere. A lot of people, even in LinkedIn messaging or just different avenues, have said, I'm just so inspired by you leaving, and I think it's great that you're doing something like this. And people have noticed a change just in my outward appearance. So I was absolutely supported, and nobody wants to have somebody leave a team, but yeah, they were all very supportive.
Yeah, I understand that. And sometimes they'll do whatever it takes to, hey, what can we do to keep you here, kind of thing. But even though it's difficult to step off and step out, when you know.
Yeah,
So, what were the first small steps you took toward healing?
really rest and recharge. So I didn't really take formal time off between when I left my corporate job and started the new work that I'm doing, but I had a balance. So I'm getting to the gym several days a week, and I just rested. So I lived I said yes to life, right? So if I wanted to take a nap in the afternoon, I did. And ultimately, just making sure that those habits that I was building were the focus. So resting and recharging my battery, basically.
Yeah, they rest doesn't get its due deserves. It doesn't. it doesn't get what it needs because we always say, well, we'll rest when we're dead or we'll rest when we retire and we'll just keep going and going. But your body gives cues that it can't go on any further. And so, a 20-minute nap can do wonders, or a 30-minute nap, or getting more sleep at night. Just, I mean, what a difference a day makes, in your thinking and your eating habits and your energy level. Um, so would you say since you left, your energy level has increased?
Absolutely. And I think there's a couple things there, but I was surprised at how much natural energy I have, because I'm leaning into creativity and taking care of my physical body. I can, working for myself and doing what I'm passionate about has just lit this spark that I just want to do more and more. But I know that I also have to not do so much that I risk, you know, getting tired or burnout. Yeah. So finding that balance. I have an aura ring, and just immediately after I left, like within the first week, I was getting 50s or 60s, which it's on a scale from 0 to 100. So I was averaging 50s and 60s for my sleep score. And a week later, I was in the 80s and even up to 90s, which I hadn't seen those numbers. And I've consistently been that way since April. And I'm getting my body's getting the nurturing that it needs. So I am energetic.
Yeah, that's a great example. So it sounds like rest and working out and your ring are all three things that have helped put you on a good routine and a better balance. So, yeah. When we met, we spoke before we scheduled this. You talked about your word for the year or your word going forward. What was that word?
Playful?
Let me double check that. Yes, that is
Okay. I was like, um, um, so playful was the word, and it's essentially the opposite of how I had been living. I, when I'm in my head and thinking, I have a very serious face and just I'm focused and stressed and all of that stuff. And this little wrinkle even was getting really noticeable. And so just being like, life shouldn't be so hard. I know there's hard days and hard moments and things that we go through in life. But for me, the opposite of everything that I was doing was basically live playfully and laugh more, encourage conversations with people, just get out and have a cup of coffee, those kinds of things that I wasn't doing. And that's been huge. And who doesn't want to be playful?
yes. That's a great word. Do you think you'll keep that word going forward? Do you think that maybe next year it'll be a different word because you're changing and evolving?
It may be a little different. I love playful as a foundation. And I think the other thing is just nurturing and flourishing are big things for me. It may stay, like I said, the foundation being playful, but I might add on to that because I am finding that I'm changing and making different moves as I go along.
Sure. Burnout obviously can affect anyone, male or female, at any age. And I think it's interesting that you recognized it as you approach a major birthday. And my time was about 10 years more. And I probably waited a little longer to get out. But needless to say, do you see it in your age group? Do you talk to other people, as you're building your business as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I've talked to many people, I think, who might be quietly suffering, because we are so driven, as a society to work more, hustle, and get the stuff done, and not always ask for help. It's kind of hard to go to. a manager and say, I need help or I need a week off. Because even in my case, a week off, I would have been checking my emails still. And, that's not really a lot of time. But yeah, I hear from everybody early career up to leadership roles that are across the age ranges that are at different places of burnout. Like, again, it doesn't have to get so you leave your corporate job or leave your job, but what can I do to start shifting away from that?
Yeah, good point. Years ago, one of my client bases was a CPA firm, and it was big. So I had the managing partner, the associate managing partner, and lots of juniors. And so what they did as they reached seniority, they gave them a month off, and they shut down their emails. They wouldn't let them call, and they joked that they always knew who those people were who were going to transition to retirement better than others, because the ones that wanted to call and check on things were not going to be those people. but but it really, I mean, it was a paid month off that they could do. It was a sabbatical that they could do many different things with that time off, and I thought that's really progressive, and I really respect that they saw that. I think it was for every 10 years of service, they got to take time off.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's a great benefit. And no, we're going to turn the systems off for you. Enjoy your time is really, really a great benefit from the employer.
Yeah, it is. And I'm working with a gentleman who's starting a company, and I'm not really on the coaching side as much as on the sales side and business development. But he and I both have a strong opinion that providing coaches in the workforce and being accessible it will boost morale, retention, productivity, and engagement. And so by offering someone outside that's not reporting inside, it's that they can make arrangements to meet and talk through whatever it is. We think that that will really help build a stronger employee and a healthier employee long term.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's how I found or got my first coach was through a program in the org that I worked for. And it was a really big benefit. I think 100% of people could benefit from coaching because it's not the coach telling them what to do or where to go, like take your career this direction. It's holding space so they can really think about what they want and what they want to work on and get there. And it's incredible to see lights in the eyes turn on and just, again, that energy shifting from, oh, it is possible, or, more productive folks in the workplace is huge. Burnout, people call out sick. It costs the business money too. So it's a great investment.
Yeah, I everything you said, we've got data to support that, and yeah, I'm eager to see this now. When it was me looking for a coach, I had just read a book that had a website, and I checked the website and found someone in my state, and that's how I found it. But I was more progressive, and I was seeking it on my own. So I just feel like there's a real strong need for people to be able to talk independently. They're not utilizing some of the resources within their employer as they could be. But back to you. How did leaving your career affect your sense of identity?
Oh, that's a great question. I would say I feel more connected to my real identity. Um, a lot of times I was, like I said, building up to corporate Katie, and now I just feel right, which I don't know if that's the best way to describe it, but I'm just good with me. I think I know I've used the term from meek to me, being that not fully living in my authenticity hold something back, like I don't want to say this in fear of judgment. And now, I am myself, and I don't have to, if somebody doesn't like me or the work that I'm doing, that's going to happen too. So I think just being genuine in all facets of my life really is showing who Katie is as a person.
I love that, and I totally support that, and can relate to that. That authenticity feels very comfortable. It's something you don't have to try very hard to do because it's just there. And I think sometimes, depending on the jobs that we're in, we're forced to look a certain way, act a certain way, control ourselves a certain way. And after a while, you go, wait a minute, what did I become here? And this isn't me. Or so let's transition into what you're doing now. Can you talk a little bit about what you're doing now?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started a company, a coaching practice called Pivotal Transformations in April. So just 2 weeks after I left, I had founded it. But we focus on individual coaching. And I believe in that wholeheartedly because that's something that's customizable based on where the person's at. A big component of what I do within my coaching is based around energy leadership and how we show up and use our energy, what the awareness is around energy. And then I'm also taking in seminars and workshops to employee resource groups or different avenues, conferences, where I can just talk about the importance of that. Because again, the more engagement a team member has, the more productive the business will be. You have to work on the people first. And so that's really my mentality. Um, I also is just kind of a side project. I'm working on a podcast called Heard Around Town. Um, and just for conversations, because I love conversations. And I think maybe it was COVID that did it, but you can really reach a lot of people now very easily, both in person and virtually. And so I just love hearing people's stories and connecting to my community across the world.
Well, I think your story will resonate with people because I see it all the time. I mean, I hear about it all the time, and it unfortunately, it's something that we um, wore as a badge of honor. I know my generation and the generation before me. You work, 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 and you don't have fun, and you don't find joy in it, and so you're flipping the switch, and how great is that? You can help other people uh, bring some light and joy back into their lives too by figuring out what lights them up, what brings them passion.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do credit employee resource groups and different avenues that you can take advantage of in the working world. I didn't always have the time to do that kind of stuff. I would just work through lunch, and that's a big thing too. Just work through lunch or start early, finish late. Um, Work hard, play hard was not what I was doing at all. So it's just nice to say, you know, self care and just really dialing in can take you many, many places.
Yeah, I'm a health coach, but I also feel like I'm partially a life coach, and really what I do is I help people with lifestyle changes, and they're everything from drinking more water to making protein a priority, to you know how many times a week are we going to exercise, and how can I hold you accountable to that, whatever their goal is or whatever they're saying that's not working. But I find that accountability part is so important, but the lifestyle part is more important. And as I've learned, we're made up of a small amount of genetics and a large portion of lifestyle. So if we can make some changes in our lifestyle, it's going to positively affect us. So what advice would you give someone who feels alone in their burnout or doesn't know what to do?
I would say first, pause and reflect. And that's essentially what I did on my couch is, am I aligned to what I'm doing? Why am I burnt out? Is there something that I can change right away? Listening to different podcasts and books were kind of easy pull-ins for me. I started to follow more of like Jay Shetty, right, on Instagram. So I was seeing those posts that really spoke to the inner me, which ultimately, kind of made me feel better and start exploring different options of resources available to me. So it's not an all at once, but I think just reflecting on what would my life look like if it was ideal.
I also want to speak to social media because we ingest a lot of what we see and think is true on social media. And I know I've had to do a digital detox, not the full like walk away from it, but at least put things in there that are positive, that are important to me, that I'm getting positive comments or not comments, but I'm reading positive and I'm reading positive messages, and it's positive energy. And for me, that really has helped in the last few years, especially since COVID, to just have it all be positive. That way, if I am going to be on, I'm not getting all the gloom and doom.
Yes, and that makes a big difference. Um, Social media has its pros and cons, and I think a lot of the use of it leads to cons more for more people than pros, because we are comparing our insides to others' outsides. And I don't post the messy stuff always, or I don't see the messy stuff posted on social media because why would people always do that? So that's why I appreciated the more authentic, motivational, or inspirational posts.
Sure. So who's your ideal client?
So everything I do, I look at myself as a client. I would buy in, or invest in what I'm doing. It's really anyone that might be in a life transition, right? But knowing that they want something different, but not really sure, um, burnt out and stuck. Um, those are the people, and I hate to break it down to a 40-year-old woman niche, right? But I look at myself as a perfect client, and maybe people wanting a career change or make the most of their retirement.
Of course. And would people work with you virtually, in person? Is there a hybrid? What's your suggestion?
I do both. So I do have a small office in Georgetown, Texas, and I also do Zoom. So reach people where they want and where they're most comfortable.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, well, and those are good boundaries too. Especially as people say, "Well, I have time, but I'd rather do this virtually, so I don't have to spend time driving." And then other people like to feel the energy of being face to face. I'm sure. So
Yeah, and it definitely depends on what the client wants. I've done both, and sometimes we just need to be in a room with somebody, and sometimes it's I can't fit the commute in or whatever that is for that specific day, or I have a sick kiddo or whatever. Online capabilities really are beautiful.
they are. They do help. So, Katie, what's your SOS? What's a simple step or two for people who are listening or watching today? The steps they can take to move the needle forward besides reaching out and contacting you.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny that you're talking about moving the needle forward, but it does. And the step is to pause. I think in the whirlwind of the world, the businesses that are happening, the families around us, just life, not a lot of people take time to pause. And that is just a sit there. And that is a simple thing to start, to really look at where you are at in the moment. That's how it started for me, is just to take a intentional pause and think, what is life in my ideal way? You can also reach out on benefits. Take advantage of benefits if you have them from your employer or however that looks for you. There are a lot of employers that offer just different benefits with regards to maybe it's a fitness membership, maybe it's different things like that. So pause and maybe research what's available to you to reach out.
Those are great tips. Is there anything you'd like to share that we didn't talk about?
I don't think so. I think we covered a lot there.
Sure. Well, if people wanted to find you, how would they reach out and find you?
Well, speaking of social media, am on LinkedIn, both myself and Pivotal Transformations. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook. So those are the three places you can find me. We have a website as well. And it starts with a conversation. I do free consultations and discovery calls as well. So,
And what's the name of your website?
it's pivotal-transformations.com.
That sounds great. Well, Katie, it has been a pleasure chatting with you today. I've enjoyed hearing your story and learning about your new business and how you're helping other people work through and move out of burnout. And I'm just really grateful that you're here. And I do hope our paths cross again.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on, Susie. We have a lot in common and just always enjoy the conversation.
Yeah, me too. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Well, friends, sadly, that's all the time we have today. Thank you for listening and watching SOS for Your Life, Emergency Wisdom for Everyday Life. And thank you, Katie, for joining me today. This episode was so good for people at any age who are experiencing burnout. Maybe they just don't feel authentic. I know Katie talked about feeling right now, from meek to me. And I think that really is so important to lean into our authenticity as we navigate, our careers. And she gives us some things we can do if we are experiencing burnout, to sit and just pause. And so I hope you know that you can find what you need here at SOS for Your Life, Emergency Wisdom for Everyday Life. And a reminder on how you can support this podcast: like, share, and subscribe. You can certainly send me a review or any questions you might have, and your question might be answered on an upcoming episode. Follow me on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. If you'd like to be added to my email newsletter, you can send me your email address. I'm happy to include you. And reach out to me if you're interested in finding out more about coaching and breathwork sessions. Until next time, take care, and I hope our paths cross again.